We just happy to be able to celebrate Black History Month, particularly in the city of Tuskegee, which is known for its history. And we have a lot of history that's been created here in our own community. Our city clerk, Ms. Clark, thought about the fact it was Black History Month, and we need to display that and illustrate some of the people from here and around the world that we need to recognize during this month. Perhaps really all throughout the year, but especially during the month of February. So maybe Ms. Clark can share with you what some of her thoughts were as she put together this display for Black History Month.
Now, Mrs. Clark, I believe that Black history is always and forever. What do you think, and why did you do this?
Well, initially I was approached by the city manager to figure out what kind of display we wanted for the month of February. And there were several things that came to mind. Heart Healthy Month, as well as Black History, and also Valentine's Day. So my thought was to do a display that when people come in the door, something would catch their eyes. And I tried to do local individuals that will stand out and that will capture people's attention when they come through the door. But it was just something that I wanted to do. The vision at first was kind of slim and brim, but the more I worked with it, the vision became clear, and so I just started putting the pictures up. And it resulted in all of this.
Why is it, in you guys' opinion, necessary for us to make sure that people, especially Black people, do not forget from whence we came, and all of those people who paved the way for us to be where we are today?
In my opinion, it's important because you don't want to forget where you come from, and you don't want to forget those that paved the way for us. Those individuals went through a lot of things so that we could be where we are today and have some of the things that we have. And without them paving the way for us, there's no telling what we may be doing right now. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful that they went through what they went through so that we as Black people can have some of the advantages and opportunities that some of our other people have in the world today.
As Mrs. Clark said, I think the key thing, Chief, that I'd like to add to it is the examples here not only paved the way, but they show us an example of what can be done. As was highlighted yesterday in the Olympics, when 2 African-American women medaled in the Olympics, that was rare in the Winter Olympics. We just didn't get into the winter sports. And as the announcer was saying, now you have many more African-American men and women that will be participating in the Winter Olympics because they see someone like them that fought through the battles and the difficulties, as you mentioned, but yet succeeded and were able to be successful. So all of these images we see here in different individuals, all the way up to Vice President Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States, President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, an example that they made for our families, for our communities, for our spiritual background. They just let us know what is possible if we're dedicated and we sacrifice and we don't give up.
And where do we go from here that we have a system that is trying to strip history out of our classrooms? What must we do to counter that?
In my opinion, it starts with home. I think your family will have to teach you the things that the school is not teaching us. I know for me, coming up as a child, my dad would always have different activities with different people so that you can know who Dr. Martin Luther King was, so that you can know who Harriet Tubman was, so that you can know what these people did. So for me, I think it starts at home, and home has to continue. Not only that, you have to surround yourself around people that are knowledgeable and that are willing to share with you the information on Black history.
Nationally, people are trying to minimize our history. They're trying to change history. And we have to realize we have to make the effort to put history out there as it was, as it is, and what's been left out in so many cases. If we don't do that, others will erase our history and not recognize it. Black History Month was brought about to recognize our history that had been left out. And at a time like now, you have people who, especially certain conservatives, who don't want to recognize any of our history. They don't want to recognize the slavery that occurred in America. They don't want to realize the brutality that occurred to black people and the progress that's been made since then, because it shows that regardless of what you do, our people are going to find a way to progress, to be successful, and to move ahead, and do it without being bitter, but because they focused on themselves, their families, their communities, and what is right.
Absolutely. So now, where do we go from here? We've made it through slavery. We've made it through Jim Crow. We have made it up to, as you mentioned, Mayor, the presidency of the United States. And we see all of the obstacles now that faces us. Our young children, in my opinion, are simply brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes.
We had to go and dig into books to find out what we needed to know about history. All they have to do is take that cell phone they have and articulate a name into it, and it pops right up to them anything that they need to know. So with the obstacles and the problems that we have to face, where do we go from here?
One of the first things that we really have to do is help our young people recognize, as you see history, you have to do your part in history. It's Amelia Boynton Robinson lived to be 104 years old, and she was constantly telling us, you got to get off my shoulders and do your part. And that's where we are now. As people trying to minimize our history, they're trying to erase it, they're trying to change it. It is up to us and those much younger than us to make sure that they uplift our history and not let others change what we know to be the truth, what we know to be reality, and what we know to be what's right, and to preserve our freedom and protect this country and our people in this country and the contributions that they made. I mean, that's what we have to, that's where we go. We have to step out even more, and it's important for our people, young people, middle-aged people, and even older people to understand, yes, we made it out of slavery, yes, we made it out of Jim Crow, yes, we made significant progress, but if we don't protect what we have, we'll start to go backwards. And that's what happened after Reconstruction. Somewhere, somebody didn't believe it would happen, and it happened. Right now, it's a critical stage that we have to protect the achievements and the opportunities we've been awarded, as you said, in terms of opportunities that were created for us. It's now up to us to protect those opportunities and to make more for our children and our grandchildren and the next generation.
Now, what do you guys see about the state of this city at this time? We have a predominantly black city. We have a Confederate statue stuck right in the middle of our square. It undoubtedly had some psychological effect on our lack of growth and full-scale development. What do you guys need from the citizens of this town to continue to carry this job forward?
If I understood you correctly, I think what we need, one, the community needs to come together. Two, no one person is bigger than the next person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we must stand together, stand up for what we believe in, excuse me, and just deal with it head on. That statue has been there for a long time. In my mind, when I drive by there, I don't see it. I know it's physically there, but for me, when I blot it out, it's blotted out. I don't see it. I wish it was moved, but I understand there's a process you must go through in order to get it moved, but for me, it's not there. But for the people that's here, unity, communication, determination, and dedication is what's going to get us started, keep us moving, and help us to keep moving.
And expose you with that state of mind. What do you do for the city? What's your role in the city? Because you certainly did not have to bring this kind of history forward for people to see when they walk into this building? What do you do here? And you didn't have to do this.
I am officially the city clerk for the city of Tuskegee.
And some more.
And a few other things that I do for the city of Tuskegee. But when given this project or this assignment, I took it and I said, you know, now it's time for me to show some of my other talents. Being a city clerk has a lot of different things that I do daily, but this side of me has always been there, and so I just took advantage of it to do it and show people that this city clerk is multi-talented. I can do a lot of things.
What do you need from the people, Mayor?
I think the key thing we need from the people is to hear from the people. We need action from the people themselves. The reason we are here today, the reason I'm in the seat that I'm in, the reason we have such a valuable city clerk and so many other officials here is because of what these people did. And they did it in a time when it wasn't easy. They did it in a time when it wasn't safe. They did it in a time when it was frowned upon. Their families could be attacked. Sheriff Amerson stepped out on a huge limb in a time when his life was threatened. But he stepped out and did something. All we need to do as a community is to stand up and say what we want and hold our officials accountable. See, we're not going to move until the citizens hold us accountable. Now, if they want the statute moved, the citizens have to make that plain and clear to not only us, to those other officials, whether it be the judge, or the DA, or anybody else. When you want conditions changed in your community, you go to the officials and demand that it be done. As Mrs. Clark said, collectively, as a group, unified. You say, this is what we want done. I don't accept it there. And I'm similar to Mrs. Clark. I ignored it. I don't even pay attention to the statute, but I don't like it there in our community. We wouldn't put a slavery statute up in an all-white community. I bet you they wouldn't accept that. So for them to not understand that we don't need that in the middle of our square, plus we want to expand that square and do some other things. So it's a matter of us coming together to speak to our officials and not accept these excuses. You know, I went through a lot of headache with that statute for several years as mayor. And I had to keep saying, it's not matters. I can't do that myself. It's not the city's responsibility. That's not the city's property. If it were, I assure you, I would have moved much faster. And I have encouraged and supported the county officials and others to do something about that. And that's what our citizens have to do. It can't be Mrs. Clark, it can't be me, it can't be the city manager, can't even be the city council. It's going to take citizens saying, we want this changed, we want this done because it's offensive to us. Now, it may not stop anything, but in the fact that it's offensive, go put a statue of a slave in front of the state capitol and see what happens. That's what I want people to think about. Or go to the lynching museum and move it down in front of a small white community to see what happens. They don't want it because it makes them uncomfortable. We don't want that there. It doesn't represent us. Right. And it shouldn't be there. So just as other people got together and got things done here, we need to do the same now and not be so complacent as a people and as a community.
And we know what some of them went through in order to make a change or be impactful. Now let me ask you guys this as city employees. The best that you guys can do is not good enough for everybody. The best that you can do is going to bring criticism from people around. How do you deal today with the backbiting and the lies and the mistruths and the deceptions that go on around you? For instance, Mayor, the word is out in the community that you had money to pave the streets, and you refused to pave the streets. Now, those of us who are conscious know that Bibb Street costs $1.7 million to get one street paved and the infrastructure dealt with. So you would have to have millions and even maybe billions of dollars to begin to honestly tackle the streets in this city and the condition that they are in. So now, what's the truth, number one, to you blocking streets being repaved? And what do you need to say to the community to do critical analysis of what you all do and give you credit for the good and criticize you for the bad?
I think the key thing is to have an open mind. If people are deciding before you talk to them or have already decided, you're not going to change them. So you got to go ahead and do the job that you're here to do. As we talk about streets, yes, we did Bibb Street, which started out, we got $450,000 from the state. The project was over $1.5 million, so that wasn't 1/3 of what the project was. The city put out a lot of money, utilities board put out a lot of money and time and energy. We paved Robert Street, which was a dirt street in the city of Tuskegee. We paved Webb Street, which is a long street in terrible condition. We're now going forward to some other streets that we have identified. It's a frustrating progress for some citizens, I'm sure, but they have to remember how long these streets had not been paved.
But are you sitting up in your office blocking
Oh, of course not.
Guy Street and Brothers Drive
Oh, no.
from being repaved?
No, we've suggested that those be paved. They're on the list to be paved. As I told people on Webb Street, they would keep asking me, and finally when it was paved, they were excited. Well, these other streets are on the list to be paved. We're getting to them now. We have to do the engineering. We have to lay out what we need. Then we have to get the contractors involved and get it approved. So they will be paved. It's just a process that we have to go through because you're talking about numerous streets here that need attention, but we only have so many dollars. So we have to put the dollars in the best place that we have at this time to get the best job done and go for other dollars. What some citizens sometimes forget, we went to get the money to get the streets paved. We didn't have the money before. When we came into office, when I came into office on the city council, we were $4 million in debt to the Internal Revenue Service. All of that's been turned around. Working with the city employees, the city clerk's office, city manager's office, we've turned that around and put ourselves in good financial condition. Then we were able to go get other resources, other grants that are helping us with some of this paving and other projects throughout the city that had to be addressed. So we're just very pleased that we were able to do it. And you know, sure, we're going to get criticism, we accept that, but we just ask people to be open-minded and to look at it and recognize what is being done in addition to the things that have been overlooked for a long period of time. Progress is being made. Progress sometimes is slow, but the key is that we keep moving forward.
It seems like everything that happens to us is in God's time and not on Saturday evening or next week just because that's what we want, right? Okay, so
Always.
final word to the community, Mrs. Clark. What would you like for the community to know about your clerk's responsibility and et cetera?
Well, I want them to know that my door is always open, Monday through Friday. If they would like to stop by to see what I do every day, they are more than welcome. I want them to know that the clerk is dedicated and loyal to her job. I go above and beyond any means to get my job done. And I just welcome them. Some of the citizens do call me and they do let me know that they are there for me, that they support me, and I really appreciate that. And I want them to know that I appreciate them. And if anything I can do for them, just give me a call.
And for the benefit of the citizens, what do you do? What does a clerk do in the city government?
In city government, the municipal clerk, city clerk rather, is responsible for preparing the agendas for the council meetings. I am the liaison for the council. If anybody should need to contact the council, they contact me, and then I will in turn try to contact the council members for them. Sometimes they request the council members' email addresses and things like that. I do that. I process lawsuits and claims for the city pretty much all day, every day. I also handle the insurance renewal for the vehicles and for the buildings for the city of Tuskegee. And I also assist any department that is in need of assistance. I don't mind helping, and that's pretty much what I do on a daily basis.
Okay. It seems like a lot of responsibility, and yet you out here making sure that history is not forgotten. You're to be commended.
Thank
Mayor?
See, well, I would have to echo and say that she does a great job. She's well respected throughout the state. I like to say that sometimes people forget when we see our own people here, they don't recognize how they're viewed from other places.
Absolutely.
People call her and call me to see if I can ask her to assist them because of her knowledge and what she's done in the state. From the Alabama League of Municipalities, the attorneys there, they will speak highly about Clerk and her knowledge and what she coordinates. I can't say enough about the job that she does in terms of coordinating the activities of the city. She's like the engine that keeps things going. She schedules meetings, she schedules special meetings, she lets us know if there are legal challenges that we have to deal with. She lets us know in terms of filing our notices at the Ethics Commission. She keeps us on the schedule. She keeps that calendar for all the key activities in the city. And that's a very, very important role. Our role is to communicate with the citizens and try to keep them motivated and encouraged about the progress being made in the city. And that's what we'll try to continue to do. There are a number of things going on in our community. There are some challenges, but yes, there are a tremendous number of opportunities that we're realizing and moving ahead on. So I encourage the citizens to keep informed, give us their suggestions. Yes, we'll accept the criticisms, but also we would be thankful to get any kind of suggestions that they have or solutions that they wish to offer, and to get their participation, as we often ask. A lot of times there are things that can be done if citizens come together, as Mrs. Clark said. We can get some things done. It doesn't have to be done by government. In a lot of other communities, citizens combine to do some things. They take care of some problems. They take care of challenges in this community. They take care of their own community because of a sense of pride. I could say, for instance, Marable Subdivision, they've done a number of things over there to improve their community. A lot of us could do that. We did some things at one time in Green Fort, and we got a little behind, and y'all over Marable Subdivision got ahead of us, so we got to go back to the drawing board, see what we can do. But I encourage all our communities to do that. That's what we used to have. There was a lot of pride whether you lived in Zion Hill or Rockefeller, Green Fork or Greenwood, on the campus. We want all our communities to be proud of where they are, to take on the responsibility of helping improve their community, whether it's cleaning up, whether it's coming up with ideas, whether it's contacting your district council person and tell them, you need to do something over here. That's what citizens have the responsibility to do, and it keeps us moving, and it keeps us aware of what we need to do. So we appreciate their suggestions and their involvement.
And I certainly do appreciate you all taking your time to do this interview, because I think it's imperative that we keep the people informed on what you do because you're required to do it, and those things that you do just to make this city better.
Absolutely.
Well, when you think about it, Chief, the examples here that Ms. Clark put on the wall, they love their families, they love the next generation, they love their communities, and they love their people. And when you got that going, you're going to do all you can do for your family, your community, your people. And this country will be improved by all we do as well.